The Fan Counters Celebrity Podcast, number 176. Coming to you from nowhere near the entertainment capital of the world, this is the Fan Counters Celebrity Podcast.
You were like the carrot top of interviewers.
Wow, how disappointing was that question?
You did not just ask me that.
Well, that's a big question.
Never mind, I'm done. I'm not doing the show.
Wow, I can't believe it.
I'm telling you, I'm hooked.
Nick.
Yeah, he's so awesome. He's still a good friend of mine.
Welcome to the Fan Counters Celebrity Podcast. My name's Nick.
And I'm Tracy.
And you can follow us on social media. Go to YouTube and look up Fan Counters Podcast. You can watch us doing the show. Can you believe it?
It's pretty cool.
Please go to YouTube and check that out. Subscribe. Tell your friends to watch the show. And if you just want to listen, we are on podcast platforms everywhere. So you can go on Stitcher or Apple Podcasts or TuneIn or whatever, Overcast. There's millions of them.
I even got my parents watching us.
Do you really?
I sure do.
Oh, my gosh.
On their iPad, Apple devices.
That's where our two viewers came from. Thank you, guys. You can follow us on Instagram. Go to Instagram and look up Fan Counters Live. And on Facebook, just search Fan Counters and you'll find us there as well. And if you want to email us, send us an email to hello@fancounters.com. If there's a star that you want to have on the show, let us know. And if we get them, you can be part of the conversation. We'll bring you on the show to talk to them as well. That's a good deal.
I think that's
keep
a great
saying
deal.
It's a virtual meet and greet. And nobody's taken us up on it. So I've had people send in some crazy wild celebrities we're never going to be able to get on. Like one guy emails me the other day, can you get Tiger Woods on? Yeah, I think he's in the hospital. I think he's dealing with some things right now.
Did you ever get anybody to ask you if you can bring Elvis on?
Elvis?
Yeah.
No, dead Elvis. Let's do that. That sounds good. Speaking of dead, I heard a very interesting comment that was made about Demi Lovato.
Oh, really?
Demi Lovato has come out and she said that she is California sober. Congratulations, Demi. Do you know what California sober is?
I'm afraid to ask.
Apparently, it's a term I'm not aware of until they explained it to me. California sober is when you only drink and smoke pot. She's no longer doing the hard drugs or the pills and all the other things that she was doing. She's just California sober.
Drink and smoke pot.
Yeah.
That's California
That's sober. Yeah.
Okay.
These same people who told me about this predicts that Demi might be not around in a year.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That's kind of concerning.
It's just a weird term. You're not sober if you're still drinking and smoking pot.
Correct.
I don't know. Let's move on. We're going to get to the show this week. We've got a great guest for you. If you're a fan of the Lifetime and Hallmark movies, this young lady is for you. Rebecca Lamarche is here, and she's going to tell us about her movies. One of them is called Fit for a Prince. That's on the Hallmark Channel. The one I'm super excited about is Deadly Mom Retreat, and that one's coming to Lifetime. And then lastly, there's one more movie, and we weren't familiar with the network. It's called Super Channel. But you can get it on Amazon Prime. It's called My Boss's Wedding. And those are the movies that star Rebecca Lamarche. She's also a casting director, producer, and wears a lot of hats in the industry. And I think you're going to enjoy this conversation.
And she even got a cool hobby that we get to talk about, too.
Yeah, you guys geeked out for
sure
a little while. And I felt like I could have went upstairs for my bathroom break.
You probably could have.
I probably could have. Ay. Anyway, guys, here's Rebecca Lamarche on the Fan Counters Celebrity Podcast. Rebecca Lamarche, welcome to Fan Counters. Thanks so much for being here.
Hey, thanks so much for having me.
Now, you wear a ton of hats in the television and film business, and from a filmmaker myself, I can relate to some of these roles as a filmmaker, a casting director, a producer, and of course, an actress. So I'm assuming of those, being on camera is probably what makes you the most comfortable. Am I right?
I would say it's probably the most fun. They're all really comfortable by now.
Okay. My wife and I are huge Hallmark and Lifetime movie fans. We geek out, especially in the Christmas season when there are all those new shows out and stuff. I think it's because the format of those movies are very predictable, and there's some comfort, I feel like, in there. And you've got some movies coming out on both of those channels that I want to talk about in a little bit, but do those Hallmark and Lifetime style movies film differently than something that's filmed for maybe like a major motion picture release or anything like that?
Yeah, definitely. So with the Hallmark Lifetime, basically the movie of the week formula, TV movie formula, there are a lot, it's a much shorter schedule. So you're looking at really long days. If you're filmmaking, you're looking at really creatively scheduling. And if you're acting, you have to be ready to jump in out of nowhere. You have to be ready for your days to change, for locations to be pulled. You kind of have to know the whole script going into day one so that you're ready for anything.
So let's start with your romantic comedy film Fit for a Prince on Hallmark. A movie you said was one of your favorite films to make. Why was that?
Yeah, I think that one was just one of the most fun. I mean, the group of people were fantastic. All the cast were really nice, really seasoned actors. They were really fun to work with. The filmmakers were a really close-knit group of people. And then we just felt so spoiled. It's about fashion design. So all of my outfits, everyone's outfits, but all of my outfits were so much fun. I got to keep some of the clothes and our locations were gorgeous. So it was just a really nice filming experience.
Okay. That's unusual that you got to keep some wardrobe.
Yeah. Actually, when I read the script and I got the offer, I put that request in when my agents were negotiating before I saw anything. I was like, this one's going to be really fun. Maybe I can keep some dresses.
That's good to write it in. So your character, Brooke, is very lavish, like you said, spending her days in some amazing places, wearing amazing clothes. And she pretty much, from what I'm gathering, looks like she's going to go clubbing at night all the time. Was this character relatable to you at all, or did you have to kind of be like, this is really someone's life?
Oh, that's actually funny because I was looking at it and I thought, oh my God, this girl is so far from me. She's on paper not very nice. She loves causing trouble. Really, a lot of people are beneath her, even though she's in the American class system. She's a socialite. So when I approached this one, I looked at what I could like about her, what I could lift about her, and then the rest was just make-believe.
Now, this film has already premiered, am I correct?
Yes.
So
yes.
What are the early comments you're getting about the film?
I had a lot of people say that they kind of felt swept away by it because with COVID, no one's going out, no one's going to balls, all the royal balls are canceled.
Right.
So a lot of people had fun following along and just having that escapism, and that the characters were really charming.
Excellent.
Okay, so Super Channel is one that we're not familiar with, but you've got a movie on there called My Boss's Wedding, and you were playing an ex-trophy wife of the new groom-to-be. So I'm going to guess you got to cause a little trouble on this?
Yeah, definitely. The wedding could have been in jeopardy. I won't spoil it.
Could have been.
Yeah, but it's a fun one. So Super Channel has a Heart and Home network, and they have a lot of their films released through Amazon Prime as well.
Okay.
So you can usually look them up there. And that one's a fun ensemble cast. You get a wedding, the wedding making process, and then lots of shenanigans and trouble woven in.
Were these filmed pre-pandemic?
No.
Really?
Yeah, I filmed a lot during the pandemic. In the later half of last year, Prince was during pandemic. Boss's Wedding was during the pandemic. And then I have a thriller coming out soon, and that one was also filmed during the pandemic.
Oh, we are so going to talk about that towards the end. Yes.
Yeah.
I left the best one for last, I feel like, because it's one of my genres, you know. And I like the Hallmark, but I do like those kind of suspicious movies that keep you guessing. And I'm thinking that that's it, but we'll leave that for the end.
You mean kind of like the ones you always ask me to go with you to?
Yeah. I'm assuming you work on several projects at a time in different roles, meaning when we talked at the top of the show about how you're an actress and maybe a producer, maybe you're casting a film, how do you keep each role straight within a project and kind of not step outside where you're not supposed to be? You know, if you're not in that role, like say you're not an actress role in a movie you're casting, how do you kind of keep those worlds separate?
That's a really good question. I think a lot of people struggle with that because as a filmmaker, in any capacity, you're really passionate about what you do. But for me, because I wanted to focus on each of my specialties very separately, it was a mindset I went in with. At the beginning, you know, you want to overstep, But now at this point in my career, it's exciting. I just focus on casting. I'll just focus on producing. I'll just focus on acting. When I'm on set acting, I never bring up that I work as a producer or that I work in casting because I think it's really cringy. Like, I think it's just a weird thing to bring up. You're brought on, you're hired as an actor. You came to do the job as an actor.
Right.
Of course, if people know me or they've looked me up, I'll talk about it if people want to talk about it, but it's never something that I lead with. And same on the other side of the camera. If I'm producing on set, I don't say to the actors, oh, by the way, I'm an actor too. Like,
because at that point they're like, who cares?
Like, who cares? Yeah. Plus, you're so busy just doing your job. And if you're trying to spread yourself over too many when you're not even employed to do that, I think it's a waste of your time.
Okay.
Interesting.
Time management seems to be something you have mastered with the many hats you wear. Can you tell us about your 30-minute increment scheduling you do?
Oh, yeah. Well, what I started approaching later last year was I'll just start every morning and I'll block off my day in 30 to 20-minute increments. I'll even now put in lunch because I was starting to have lunch at like 4:30 every day.
It's called dinner, by the way, Rebecca.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's just a rough schedule. It keeps me organized. It sets my priorities at the beginning of every day. I might make it the day before or recess it the day of, but usually I start off with scheduling and just block everything out, all my targets and all my like firm things. So today, this was scheduled.
I hope so.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no kidding. Yeah.
exactly.
Training for actors is like working out for athletes. And I know you've done a lot of acting training. Do you think that training has helped you guide to a certain level of comfort, not only for acting, but also those other jobs that you got to hold?
For acting, definitely. It's an art form that you're always expanding in, you're always growing in, and you always have to keep working on those skills. I think it gets really boring if you only ever approach material in the same way, and you're not going to grow and you're not going to expand to other characters.
Mm-hmm.
As a filmmaker, I would say it's less so the acting training, more so the acting experience really informs a lot of the work I do as a filmmaker, and then vice versa.
We looked over your resume, and on your IMDb, it does appear that we have something in common because we kind of talked about it at the top of the show about Christmas movies. You have either acted or produced in a heck of a lot of them. Are you drawn to these holiday-themed movies?
Yeah, I love them. I mean, they're so much fun to make. If you're watching them and you enjoy them, that's the same feeling you get when you're making them. So you're working with a bunch of people that are happy to come to work and exploring uplifting, happy content. And that's not to say it's the only thing I want to do. I love exploring other genres and other projects, but also you kind of have to go where the work wants you. And right now, a lot of Christmas is wanting me, and I'm so happy with that.
Do you get to like change things up a little bit, like offer suggestions on how to maybe make the plot deeper or anything? I mean, a lot of these, like I said, they do have that formula. You know, you get the whole story, the last 5 minutes, there's a problem that happens, then they solve it, and it's a happy ending by the end. Do you wish you could switch those up sometimes to make them a little bit more meaty?
Well, I think that's not the genre, to be honest with you. I think that there's a formula for a reason. I'm very lucky that the studio I work with as a filmmaker, we're very collaborative, and we have a whole branch of movies in the non-seasonal, so they're not Christmas movies that are in the romance genre for TV. And we really got to do that with a lot of them. So with those, you know, we'll explore more dramatic themes and have a little bit more heart, some more stakes to it. We'll have some more thoughtful story arcs. But for the Christmas genre, it's so specific. The networks really know what they want, but also the viewers know exactly what they want going into it. And I think your first priority always has to be servicing your audience.
I agree. Okay. I mean, I like the format. I'm just wondering, sometimes are people who work on them thinking, boy, this should be different, you know? So, but that answered that question, that we know what we're going for. You know what the viewers want and expect, you're delivering. And I think that's great.
So my next question is a little random question, but you've there's things that you've done as far as voiceovers for video games. Now, I'm curious about this because I play video games, but a video game always does random directions. So like it can change by whatever decision you make. How does that work for you when you're doing a voiceover in a video game?
I haven't done the mocap side of it, and I haven't done where you're more the individual player that someone's exploring the game with.
Okay.
I've worked with my brother-in-law quite a bit, Connor Sherlock, and he does independent video games that are a lot of them are walking simulators, and it's almost art experience games. He's been in some art galleries before for his work, and so for those, I've worked with him on kind of creating a sound landscape, narrating stories, and being a part of the immersive experience.
Okay.
But in the first-person player, I haven't explored those yet. So maybe I'll have to get back to you on those.
Okay.
Along with acting, your career started in journalism. Did that kind of toolbox of skills motivate you to do some writing of your own? Have you written scripts of your own?
I've definitely experimented with it. I've done additional writing material on some scripts before. One was for some Netflix projects, but I've messed around with some independent script ideas, but that's more for me creatively than something I'm pursuing professionally.
Okay. One thing you are, though, is casting. In May of last year, you were honored to be included in a panel for the Toronto, and I'm not familiar with this, so it's written as BIPOC. Is that an acronym?
Yeah, BIPOC, so Black, Indigenous, and People of Color.
So you were on a panel to discuss TV Movie of the Week as a genre and representation for opportunities. You've made it a priority to push inclusive casting. So how do you think the industry in general, and I feel like when I watched, especially Hallmark Christmas movies this year, there's definitely a shift in the casting to where it's great because it's more inclusive. Do you feel like we're getting there where there's opportunities for all and you're seeing kind of less discrimination on screen?
Yes. So for the last year, there's been a very much needed dramatic shift in casting that's kind of gone across all genres, I would say. I think it's old news that it's been very white dominant for years.
Yep.
Something really special that I really value about the company I work with is that for many years now, myself and the owner of our studio, Beth Stevenson, we've worked hand in hand and made it our personal mission and our professional mission to be more inclusive in our casting. And so this has been, a many-year effort. So the panel that you spoke of, what I was reached out to by the Toronto BIPOC community to kind of speak about this genre, because prior to last year, if you were to look at TV movies, you would see almost all white faces, you would see very few interracial couples, and then quite a few, almost all the scripts are written by white talent. And so this panel was actually for writers to explore the genre and just to make more connections so we can start hearing and seeing new voices.
Excellent.
Okay, so when casting, have you ever selected a person for a role that you've had to constantly say, trust me, because you knew they were right for the role? And if so, did it end up making you look good or bad?
Ooh, well, now you're reminding me of... like the odd time it hasn't worked out, but yes and yes. I somehow scrubbed that from my memory. So I've definitely, I fight for people. I fight so hard for people. I've had network executives say before, like, oh, are you dating that person? Are they your boyfriend? No, I just believe in them. Or, are they your best friend? Why are you fighting so hard for them? And I just, again, you do these jobs because you care and you're passionate. So I fight really hard for the people I believe in. And there have been a few cases where it's made me look amazing. And there have been a few cases where I've had to step aside and said to the director or producer, I am so sorry. I was so wrong. But those are so few and far between. Usually people make you look good.
On the wrong side, though, is it too late then to replace them once it's like that glaring mistake, or?
Yeah, it's too late. You have to either work around it on the day. The day might take longer. It might affect scripting, but it happens. I can only think of 1.5 times it's happened.
Okay,
Very good.
well, that's good.
I appreciate your bravery. And admitting and telling that story, though.
Otherwise, maybe she could take over for the person, right? Depending on the role.
Just stand in. No, and that's when you break your rule. Oh, by the way, I'm an actress.
Yeah, exactly. Stop everything. I'm an actress.
Rebecca, on Fan Counters, I love to hear stories about your favorite encounters with fans, guests who have maybe met a fan with some unusual encounters, or maybe just somebody that recognized you. Do any stories come to mind about people who have seen you on television and said, hey, I think I know you?
A couple of times. Well, one was just really funny. I was walking my family dog in my parents' neighborhood the other day, and a neighbor that I had known for years and haven't seen in years, she yelled out, she's like, I saw you on TV. You're famous now. And it was so cute and so sweet. But more so, I just get a lot of people reaching out online and connecting that way. And it's always really nice to just connect with people and hear what they like and see how they found you. On the funny side is you would think it would happen more often with acting, but as a casting director, you have a lot of people like looking out for you. So I've met a few people before, and I've found a lot of actors through background before, because if I'm on set producing and I see background talent and I see that they're crushing it, and which sounds hilarious because they're background, but it actually is a skill, right? So if I see they're crushing it, if I see they're doing really well, I'll discreetly get their information, I'll keep them in mind, and then eventually I'll audition them. And it's actually panned out quite a few times where people have started booking roles out of this. So I was on set and I was the lead producer on a Lifetime movie this summer. And I was having a talk with someone, something concerning had come up. And then she stops and she goes, oh my God, are you Rebecca Lamarche? I said, yeah. And she goes, I've been taking every background job I can on these movies to try to meet you.
Whoa.
Here's my information. And the wild thing is, she booked a job later that year because I got to see her and I watched her reel and I saw what she could do. And she was a face I hadn't seen before.
That's pretty cool.
That is really neat. Except now you don't want a ton of people actually doing that, or it puts a lot of pressure on you, or it makes it an uncomfortable relationship.
Well, yeah. Yes, but it is fun to find people.
Have you ever had any backlash from somebody you didn't cast?
It's less so backlash. It's more like passive aggressive comments. I'm friends with a lot of actors, and a lot of them are really great at keeping the relationship not weird.
Okay, that's good.
But a lot of them make it weird too. And it's so uncomfortable, or some people will hound you. And so now I'm at the point where I just say to people, like let's treat this like you don't know me. Okay. and we'll go through the proper channels. And only a few times have I had people reach out, and it's just what I call crazy actor brain. And I think I have more empathy for it because I'm an actor and because I'm friends with a lot of actors. But people will just reach out and they'll have crazy actor brain and they'll say, I'm blacklisted. You haven't hired me in a while. I did horrible. And they haven't. They just haven't been the right fit for the project in a while. And that's how it goes.
Wow.
Okay. All right. I've got something that you and I are in common.
Hold on. I got a follow-up, though.
You got a follow-up?
I always have a follow-up to that
All
question
right.
because we now have heard a couple times where you have met somebody, but what about when you have met someone that you have admired, like an actor that you got to work with? I think I read that one of your influences was Julia Roberts. Am I right?
Oh, yeah. Well, I've never worked with Julia Roberts.
I don't know if you ever met her, but have you met another celebrity actor that, you were in awe of and had that, moment?
Yes, definitely. There have been a few times. I worked with Kelly Rutherford once, and I knew her most from the Gossip Girl series. I also liked her on Quantico. So once we were wrapping and we weren't going to be on set together anymore, I then told her, I was like, oh my God, I was so excited to meet you. I'm still so excited to meet you. She was so nice and so professional. It was awesome working with her. And there have been a few other times where, you just let the person know. And I would assume if you do it in a way that's not crazy, it's nice to hear, but who knows, maybe they're doing a podcast now and they're like, well, there's this one girl, Rebecca Lamarche, and oh my God, she was crazy.
We've not heard that about you yet, so
No.
I just thought it would let you know.
Okay, so you and I have something in common.
Yes.
We are both competitive shooters.
Ooh.
Now, I have not done the competition you're in. I've done IDPA, which is International Defensive Pistol Association, and I've researched USPSA.
All right.
I'm intrigued by what you're into, which is the International Practical Shooting Confederation. And
Yeah.
and according to your bio that I found, you are a black badge holding IPSC competition shooter. What does the black badge mean?
So awesome. Love to meet a fellow shooter. So Black Badge is an internationally recognized certificate that you need to do IPSC.
Okay.
And it basically qualifies that you can shoot accurately enough, as fast enough, and as safely enough to compete
Okay.
in everywhere except for the States, who doesn't do IPSC but does USPSC, because USPSC has more relaxed safety guidelines.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. Then the other question in this is, it says you have both restricted and non-restricted firearms license. What is that?
So in Canada, you are not born with the right to bear arms. So you have to get an actual license to own and operate firearms.
Okay.
So we have multiple categories here. We have restricted, which is pretty much handgun, pistols, a couple of long guns, and we have non-restricted, which would be shotguns and many of the rifles.
Okay.
Then we have prohibited, which speaks for itself.
Right.
So I have a dual license.
Very cool. So how is the competition going for you? Are you enjoying it, and how are you doing in it?
Well, I've only done 3 or 4 competitions. I only got my black badge last summer and started competing summer into fall, but because I was working a lot, I missed a few competitions. So my next one's in June, and it's been fun. It's been great. I like to do just production standards, so I'm not using an optics yet, but there's a lot of pressure to switch to the optics. So we'll see.
Yep. I just purchased one too, using competition that can take an optic. Otherwise, I use iron sights.
Yeah.
So what is your gun of choice and caliber of choice?
Ooh, 9mm for sure.
Okay.
And I have 2 of choice. So the handgun I'm most comfortable with is my Glock 48.
Okay.
And it's the worst kind of gun you can use for IPSC because, as you would know, it has a thin profile, it's a polymer frame, so it's really light, it kicks really hard, makes it harder to shoot fast and accurately. But I just love how it feels in my hand, and I feel like I can operate that one the fastest, most confidently. So I love using that one, but I'm switching to the CZ Shadow 2. Or I guess you would call it a CZ Shadow 2.
Yep.
And still 9mm, and I'm loving it so far. But with all the shutdowns and lockdowns here, I haven't used it as much, so I'm not as comfortable yet.
Very cool. Well, thanks for sharing. That was cool.
What about you? What do you use?
I use 1911.
Really?
Yes, I shoot with a Ruger Target 1911 competition, and in 45.
Okay.
I just
Quite
did
a different caliber.
I just did pick up though. I just did pick up a Canik TP9 SFX in 9mm.
How do you like it?
I haven't shot it yet. I picked it up this morning.
Oh my gosh. Okay, well, I'll stay posted.
Okay.
That's exciting.
You guys done now?
Yeah, we're done.
Okay,
Cool,
just
thanks.
checking. Last thing I want to talk about is the new movie coming out on Lifetime. It's a title that gets my attention right away. It's called Deadly Mom Retreat. So tell me a little bit about the film. What kind of character do you play? And, of course, we need an update on a release date if you have one.
I do not. I actually checked in today. I still have nothing, but hopefully we can update you before this comes out.
Yeah.
And so for this one, my character's name is Georgia. She is a Vinyasa hot yoga instructor. And despite that, goodwill, namaste kind of vibe, she She may or may not be a killer.
Okay.
We will see
All right.
where that ends up. But basically, I'm a single mom. I've been dating my daughter's best friend's dad, Zach, and I think things are going amazing. And we go to this singles retreat together. He starts finding love with someone else. So I will do anything it takes to keep my man, and that may or may not involve murder.
Ooh.
Couple things that stick out with this. You're now playing another role where you're kind of the other woman. Not sure what's up with that. I'm just pointing it out. I don't know if it's typecasting or what, but
I get a lot of those ladies. And one of my friends and I were joking the other day. She goes, "Who would have guessed that would be the way your career takes you?" Because I hate getting the wedge that drives the romance apart. But I will say it's usually a lot of fun.
that's all right. Was it natural for you to play a mom role when you're not a mom?
Yes, because I have younger siblings that are not crazy younger than me, but that I am so close with and that I babysat all the time growing up. So I'm one of 4 kids. I'm the second eldest, and I have such a close, nurturing relationship with my younger siblings that I always imagine it's similar to how it feels to be a mom.
That's pretty cool. That is pretty cool.
Well, the other thing that you mentioned when you told me about the movie is something that's on your hobby list, which is hot yoga.
Yeah.
Right? Is that just like yoga in a big steam room?
Yeah.
So that does not sound
it's-
fun at all.
It's really hot. It's really, it's not steam, but it kind of feels like steam because everyone's just profusely
Drenching.
sweating.
Yeah.
You literally look like you've jumped in a pool when you leave there. And it is the best feeling in a frigid Canadian winter.
I could see doing yoga in a hot tub, but because then the sweatiness is not, getting all over the place. But
I don't think that'd be yoga. That's not like working out anything.
well, I don't know. They're always coming up with new stuff. You never know.
He's stretching. He's meditating. It's yoga.
All right.
There you go.
Well, I want to thank you so much for joining us on this week's episode of the Fan Counter Celebrity Podcast. Do you have social media handles that you can give out where we can follow your movies and your career and see more about you?
Yes, thank you for asking. I love keeping in touch with people through Instagram, and my handle is just my name at Rebecca Lamarche.
Cool.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Rebecca. We appreciate it.
And I can keep up on our shooting competition.
You can, yeah. You can you do post your results there, so
Yeah.
you can continue to,
Yeah, I'll start to post results, but I've been posting some training videos when
Cool.
the ranges are open. So
Okay.
yeah, thanks,
Excellent.
and keep in touch. It was so nice chatting with you guys.
Nice meeting
thank you. Our thanks to Rebecca Lamarche for being on the show this week to close out the month of April. Tracy, thanks so much for being back here again.
Hey, great. It's great to be here, man. Thank you.
Awesome. You can follow us on social media. Go to Instagram at Fan Counters Live. Don't forget to hit the like button there. Also on YouTube, subscribe, tell your friends. And if you want to send us an email, go to hello@fancounters.com. Now, we've got another celebrity guest coming up for you next week, so you want to come right back here to wherever you're watching or listening to the show and join us.
I think that's a great idea.
Okay, well, let's do it.
What could be better to do than come and spend time with us?
Having spring in Wisconsin, finally. Seems like it's been
that's true.
forever since we've gotten decent weather, so
I mean, it'll get there. But
it'll get there. Yeah. Anything else?
no, I think
I don't
I'm
want to
good.
cut you off.
I'm good, man.
Oh, okay. See you next week.
See ya.
Bye.